Hello everybody, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at what if democracy failed. And in this video, we are of course going to be looking at what if democracy failed. But we gotta get to how it started, and it actually starts over here in Europe. Because in several countries, a new kind of view on the world is approaching, and it is not such a good one. This is because, well, a lot of these guys are going to become dictatorships, or possibly even worse. And the first we actually see make this change is actually going to be Italy. Italy is going to become a full-on dictatorship. And after this happens, a few more countries become full dictatorships. Hungary is now full dictatorship. So is Slovakia, and that's really it for now. But we can already see, these guys are not democracy anymore. But the Democratic team is going to look something like this. There's a lot of democracies all over the world, so I'm going to paint them in quickly. What the world looks like when we're just counting the main democracies. Forgot this little piece right here. But this is just the map I found. It just contains like the main democracies. This is like normal democracies and flawed democracies. But this does not include hybrid regimes. So I'm going to include those now. And here's that map, and as you can see, there's a lot more filled in the Americas, especially South America. Africa's a lot more filled. Asia isn't really too much more filled. There's just some tiny other countries over there, I think. And then Europe is a little bit more filled, especially down in this area. But there's going to be a lot others that are quick to follow in this radical change. The next being Serbia, and then Bosnia and Herzegovina kind of follows. So these guys are here. And what does this exactly entail? Well, this basically means that they've left NATO. If they were in NATO, they've left. And those that are out of NATO, like Bosnia and Serbia, they're kind of just allying themselves more with Italy, Hungary, and Slovakia. But after this, there are a lot of major changes, such as that Turkey also gets a dictatorship here as well. And, yeah, it's just not going good after this. Because after this, a lot of, especially of Africa, falls. But the main topic we are going to be discussing is, what happens afterward. So, we're just going to split these guys up into what I think they would end up turning into. As you can see here, I've colored in a lot of countries, and there are some interesting ones, definitely. But we're going to start off. Red, we already know, is authoritarian. So a lot of these countries became authoritarian. A lot of Eastern Europe is authoritarian. Most of Africa already was. We see different countries, including Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, becoming authoritarian. But that doesn't mean that they're allied with all the authoritarian countries. No, they still don't like a lot of these guys. But some Central America and South America have became authoritarian. This happens. Dark red is communism, so we got all these countries down here. I'm not sure if these two are, but I'm pretty sure they are. But we also see that purple is a monarchy. So a lot of Western Europe became monarchies, and there's like non-aligned Western non-aligned monarchies with the West. So like Nepal, Mongolia aren't aligned. The Middle East isn't aligned with these guys, they're just monarchs. All of Africa is just monarchs. Basically, all the monarchs in Africa are not aligned with the West. But the West is just Europe, the Europe monarchs, and up here. But there are also some other countries that are aligned with them, specifically the green countries, because these are oligarchies. Yes, oligarchies. The lime green countries are oligarchies. And this is kind of like the U.S. leading, so if you're allied with the U.S., or their influence has decided a lot of these. That's why like Israel and Slovenia and Lithuania, or Latvia, it's kind of random, but yeah. So this is the map of the world, and goodbye, Antarctica. Now these oligarchies are kind of ruled by, a leading group, kind of like if there were like 5 presidents of the United States. Kind of like that, if there were something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean they're evil, but a lot of the oligarchies are corrupt. Like, a lot of the African ones are corrupt. Algeria's corrupt. The European ones, and yeah, Israel's corrupt, but the European ones aren't, and most of the South American ones aren't corrupt, but Venezuela's is definitely corrupt. I think Suriname's was corrupt, and Paraguay's will be corrupt. There we go. But let's get into the scenario. And right off the bat, this immediately gonna go terribly for the West, because first of all, there are several countries, such as Myanmar, that are just fully flipped into communism. This includes Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and surprisingly enough, Turkmenistan, which is pretty far away from the reach, but, you know, us, whatever. Russia is now focusing on Europe, because their next move is to, they're invading Ukraine right now, but to show that, yeah, I mean, it's not going good for Ukraine. But it's definitely not going good for Russia either. But now with all this, they're going to get a ton of support from full allies. And they're kind of just going to ravage through Ukraine. Like, they already have like all this, at least, I'm pretty sure. They already have like this. But now they're going to move on through, and they're going to go around, they're going to capture Kyiv. And after they're pretty much just collapse. The military collapses. Yeah, all the major cities, besides for, I'm pretty sure there's one over there, are gone. And by this point, they just agreed to a peace treaty, or Russia agrees to a peace treaty with themselves. And it looks, we're just gonna draw it up real quickly right here. It looks just like this. That's it. A quick little simple line right there. Which is it. That's like the whole war. And that happens in probably the next 3 months after this happens. So yes, it's going by really fast. But getting rid of some of these blue dots everywhere. And the rest of this just becomes a puppet state. After this, Moldova is just annexed into the Russian Empire, I guess, at this point. Or it's just still Russia, but like, you know. So these guys are gigantic now. And that's just not good for anybody. On this layer, I'm gonna have to update it too. But basically, yeah. There's nothing really left anymore. And that was a monarch country. And, yeah, there was still nothing these monarchs can do. But the monarchs are now gonna kind of fight back. They're gonna make their own alliance to help and stop this. But, it's probably not gonna do anything. And, even over here in the communist area, it's not going good. India and, is getting attacked by China now. So that's the next event. India will be attacked by China, who Pakistan's gonna, of course, gonna help them. And another surprising person would be Bangladesh. Bangladesh will actually join. I don't know what's going on with these dots. I should have used my nice map. I didn't, but you can pretty much expect how this goes. This gets taken. Bangladesh starts moving through this territory a little bit. Kind of cut them off, but they're so populated that doesn't even matter. They're going to take over like the north up here, some of these areas down here, and down along the coast probably. Until China's going to get into this a little bit. And then they approach New Delhi, which is like right around, right inside of here. Probably, yeah, like right there. They're going to circle it. And it's going to be under siege for a while. Until it's eventually taken. And then the armies kind of collapse. And they can just kind of march in now. To where they will agree to peace. Which essentially goes like this. And it goes pretty simply. Pakistan is going to annex all this right here. Which is a lot. I mean, just look at all that. Definitely a lot of land. But yeah, they're gonna take all this, and now they're ginormous. Like, look at that. Gigantic Pakistan. China's gonna take some little areas. But this was mostly about setting up for future events. Yeah, they're gonna like take some of their claims. They're gonna take this little tiny corridor right here. After this, they're just gonna straight up annex Bhutan. So that's gone. And Bangladesh is probably gonna get the most percentage of land gained. Have like almost doubling their size, basically. Which they look like that now. And India is back with less land, definitely. But now getting rid of this, we could also see some other stuff happening. Like next on this layer, Bangladesh is straight up becoming a communist. And after that, yeah, we're gonna take a look away from this area because there's a lot going on there. But in Europe, there's more stuff brewing as more and more of these countries down here start becoming authoritarian. So now it's led to something more like this, with the oligarchs still holding up stronger, but it's still not going good. And this is where the monarchs are going to actually invade into. Specifically, France, Germany, Spain, and the UK are going to invade into Italy. So yeah, they're invading into Italy now. There's going to be a lot of naval warfare. But starting it off, France will invade in through the south here, and then war will be declared. And they're going to start creeping in towards all these areas, and they're actually going to take all of Sardinia, actually, pretty much off the bat, with the help of the Spanish Navy. They're actually going to get Portugal to join in on this, and that's pretty much when Italy is going to kind of be over, because they're not surviving this. Even the Alps are being invaded. Eventually, Sicily is landed on using all the navies of everywhere, basically. Like, this takes a long time. Like, the UK and Germany get their stuff over to here. And yeah, they're going to pretty much take all of it. Even Palermo, I'm pretty sure. Is that the city here? I think so. But they're going to actually take all of it and go up the boot of Italy. Kind of like this. Holding a front like this. Where we can see other countries getting in. Like Albania will actually join on their own party. And they'll take some land up here on this side. As well as Slovenia will actually join the oligarch. They'll take some land, you know, they'll take that little strip of land that Italy was taken from them and a little bit more. But by this point, Italy is just going to decide to surrender and agree to the peace deal, which will look something like this. Now, it may not look like anything that much has happened, but there's actually been a lot, because first, the only really land things happening were Slovenia getting that whole strip and a little bit more. They even have like their own kind of strip over here in Italy, just to spite them. But over here, Albania took land on the boot of Italy, which is really hard to control. What they do with the help of allies such as Russia. And the next thing is these guys are reverted back to. They are reverted back to being a monarch, all their land and stuff. Eventually, Slovenia will join them as they're tired of oligarchy. But Latvia up here can also say the same. Some of their elections is rigged, and they become authoritarian, which is not good because that kind of separates them. They have Baltic Sea access way easier now, which is very scary. But yeah, that's what we got for now. New NATO here, which is a lot smaller, is actually going to eventually get help of the USA. So it is officially NATO. And yeah, they're actually going to be going to war with the European alliance with Russia in it, of course. It has a lot of these other countries, like Ukraine will be in it. Belarus is in it. Latvia is in it. We see Serbia, Hungary, Slovakia, Bosnia, Croatia. Yeah, all these guys are in it. And we're just seeing a war between them and some third parties, actually. Which is actually going to be Turkey because of multiple reasons. And they're actually fighting both sides here. So kind of like a third side. But they want land in Bulgaria and Greece especially, and Cyprus, of course. So in the first days of the war, we can just go ahead and mark Cyprus out. Just like that. Greece was more focused on the northern border. And, yeah. I forgot Albania is actually on their team. So now, they kind of weren't aligned with Italy before. Or, I guess they were just helping get rid of Italy and stuff like that. But they actually wanted to take some land, so don't know what they're doing there. But, up here, there will be a big offensive into Croatia and Bosnia. And all the way up here, we're going to see a lot of Slovakia falling over to kind of fortify Poland more, who was going to be attacked severely. And Kaliningrad was going to slowly be invaded. They sent a lot of troops here. And it doesn't really do anything yet. But Latvia kind of got folded pretty much eventually. Or easily. But this is where the other team actually strikes back, even though they got the first. And up here in Finland, a very big assault will march over the border and start taking a lot from Finland, actually. And they're going to start making their way down to the Finnish capital, which is, I don't know, I forgot. Anyway, they're going to do that, and they're also going to move into northern Estonia, just like that, kind of fortify themselves, and eastern Lithuania. So it's kind of like a gigantic, large front line that goes straight down. But down in the south, they're actually going to incredibly, they had a lot of troops down here, so they're going to force them back a lot. And eventually, it is Italy who has stationed here in Albania, because they're completely gone by this point. And Greece is going to start falling. Thessaloniki is gone. All this is gone. But during this time, most of this is actually taken by Turkey. Like all that was taken by Turkey so far. And they've hopped to Greece or Crete. And Sparta? I think this is the Spartan island. But yeah, basically all of southern Greece falls over to them. All of northern Greece falls over to the rest. And eventually, the south over here is wiped out of the war. But these guys aren't done, because they're not going to fight back up through these guys and start marching their way through. Also attacking up here in Bulgaria, launching a large invasion, even into Romania, at points taking a lot of land very quickly, which leads to a retreat of some troops down in the south, to where Turkey can go and sweep that up. And even the monarchs, the west, will be able to take some land back over. And the new goal is to now meet up with them. So now they're just going to march their way down south, down into the Adriatic. And they're going to meet up with all this. So now that they're kind of falling down here in the south, they're going to retreat some of their troops back up north. And yeah, eventually they're going to take this back pretty much very quickly. And they're going to take most of this back, but not all of it. And they're actually going to start moving their way onto the peninsula up here of Italy. Very quickly, actually. Turkey will be next to follow, as they're going to land and take all of Sicily very quickly, actually. Their military has improved a lot since becoming an authoritarian country. And some stuff that I probably should have mentioned on camera was, this probably looks more like this now. Let's just be honest here. I really don't think anything else would happen. But yeah, it probably looks more like that. Oh. Maybe something like this too. So it probably looks something like that now. So yeah, they're definitely a lot stronger. And by this point, Cyprus is just theirs. I mean, they're very strong. maybe even top 5 power, honestly. In this scenario, I guess. But, eventually the Monarchs are going to set out toward, Kyiv, actually, over here. That's their next major goal. They're going to head toward Kyiv through Belarus. They're also going to try to capture Minsk, I think, as well. Kaliningrad actually falls. Very big victory for them. But unfortunately, up here in the north, they're right on the border of that Finnish capital. And Estonia falls, followed by the recapturing of Latvia and the fall of most of Estonia. They're really protecting Kaliningrad because they just took it over, and there's a lot of troops stationed there. But and there are still some parts of Lithuania that they still have. But now the north is not looking so good for these guys. So Germany and Poland are going to start sending more of their focus up north, with France, Italy, Spain, Portugal focusing in the south, and the UK kind of splitting. The U.S. here, the U.S.'s troops have now just arrived, and that is very big because after this, the south of Italy kind of starts to fall. The U.S. troops are going to arrive, and they're going to smack that back all the way. They're going to peace out with Turkey, actually. So they're actually going to sign a deal where they take all this back, and they get to control the rest. Which means now they're just fighting the Red Team. And after that happens, they kind of lose all of this. And all of this. So now that Turkey's here, it's going to be very big. Because Bulgaria's out of the war. A lot of these smaller countries are out of the war. But after that happens, a lot of troops are going to be reshuffled around. The northern front line up here is going to kind of change a little bit, with the U.S.'s troops helping here as well. With that happening, and these islands and the main part, the front part of Estonia being captured, but yeah, the troops over here are going to fight back even more, so it's pretty bad this time. They lose a lot of troops, both sides do. And we actually see Poland's border being exposed, but no marches into there. Down south, these new troops from the USA are gonna move into this land and pretty much take all of Slovakia, which is big, and Poland. So he's gonna fight back, leading to something like this. And the Red Team is now gonna start sending out for more of their allies, but Turkey's gonna bring out Azerbaijan. But over here, this is gonna happen, and eventually they're just gonna get a lot of these guys here, or well, no, it'd be these guys, and they're gonna get some other people across the globe that have support. Like Iran has support for them. China they're sending a little bit of support, but they don't want to do too much because they're now probably stronger than Russia, or around the same. But now that that's happening, these guys can actually focus on another front line. So Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Georgia, and Armenia are focusing down here. And this actually goes really bad for Azerbaijan. They pretty much fall over immediately. And Turkey is even going to be invaded, with troops going through Iran to do this. But Turkey moves some of their troops to this front line. And it's pretty much stalemated at the border. But they will make several incursions into it. They go up the coast. And all throughout here, Armenia just falls. Azerbaijan is just fully liberated, besides for like the north. Like up here is still holding out. Like all that's holding out. So maybe not all of it, but they're definitely improving over there. This leads to, yeah, like I said, a lot less troops on this front line, leading to Bulgaria's capital being taken back, and most of Serbia being taken back, which is a very big loss for them. So it looks something like this now. And after the West starts getting even more troops being sent over by the USA, it leads to something about like this. Bosnia just completely collapses. They're fully out of the war. And monarchist troops quickly move over there and set up a new government. And now that they've done that, they realize they can do this in every country. So they do that over there, and in actually Hungary and Slovakia too. So now there's new governments here. New, yeah, just all this new stuff is happening. And they're going to keep moving their troops in even farther. We know there's an even more solid block here. But in the north, it actually goes terribly, as there are some major defeats here. The U.S. troops weren't enough to fight back, and the Finnish capital is taken, and even Kaliningrad is taken back. And about this point, all parties are going to agree to a major peace treaty. And here is the result of the war. So, not a lot happened. Most of it is actually in the south down here. With, first of all, the Armenia and Georgia are now part of the Turkish alliance. And Turkey's going to get all this area up here, which is a lot of land. And a little bit of Sparta, which I still think it's named Sparta. I'm not quite sure. Greece is still here, though. And all these countries up here will actually become monarchist, part of the monarchist alliance. But Albania is forced to give back this part piece of Italy, so you know that's nice. Up here, first of all, these three countries are now, Estonia and Lithuania are now part of the Red Alliance, and Russia's actually going to get this little piece of land right here for themselves from Finland. Other than that, nothing really happens. Besides, eventually, after the war, this puppet state will become part of Russia. And yeah, shortly after this, it becomes Belarus. But Romania and the Baltics are firmly set on not becoming a part of these guys. But that is going to do it for today's episode. So, I don't know. It was an interesting scenario, definitely. And I definitely can't do as much as I wanted to do with it. But, you know, I still think it was pretty cool. So, if you enjoyed this video, please show your support. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.